Hey everyone, this is Daryl Evans of the 1984 World Champion Detroit Tigers. My favorite show to be on is The Sports Circus with Big Sal.
Stretch! You can put it on the board! Yes!
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA, prime, Angus, and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all, those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had. Likely they will be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, welcome in everybody on all of our network affiliates and our independents, whether it's on radio or television or all those streaming as well, even those on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check that out. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, a fun group about your favorite restaurants, recipes, your favorite foods. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. By the way, folks, if you're just tuning in for the first time, our friends over at Vacation Buddies wants to give you a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri, if you can answer a simple trivia question. And the question is this: which of these NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri. If you can answer that simple trivia question, give them a call, 888-576-5777. Hurry up. All right. Now, this is one of those situations that I'm going to describe here in just a few moments that it makes you want to just say, whoever started doing this crap? Why do they do it? Well, we know why they do it. Look at me, look at me. It's always look at me, look at me. Not me personally, but that's what people do. And you ask yourself, are they aware of the potential consequences? Do they really understand the implications of what I'm about to describe? And honestly, as I look and as I watch it, and it's over and over, you see it on television. If you're at a live sporting event, you see it there. And these are baseball games that I'm referring to, folks. And what I don't understand, now I can tell you this as a former pitcher, the worst thing that anybody can do on a team is to try to show up the other team or show up the other players, showboat, do that, this, that, and the other, anything that would bring unnecessary attention. I mean, you hit a home run, go circle the bases, and don't do it in walk form and don't take a minute to go around the bases. Just do what you're supposed to do. Keep your celebration inside the dugout because that's what is appropriate. But what happens when the kids see it? They watch the guys on TV, they see it, and they say, oh, I want to be like this guy. I want to be like that guy. And so they hit a home run. And then what happens when they circle the bases? Of course, they're getting an earful from the other team because that's exactly what should happen. And honestly, I would imagine there would be some repercussions for that, maybe with the next batter, the next inning, the next time that person is up. Who the hell knows? Bench clearing brawl, I don't know. But what I will say is, in my experience, I have incited bench clearing brawls on the field, and I have caused them off the field, believe it or not. Another story for another time. But what I can say is usually they're justified. Now, what happens in the case when kids bat flip And then the other kids look at it and say, oh, yeah, that's not really cool. Or some of them say, oh, yeah, he's on my team. That's really cool. Or she's on my team, and that's really cool. Well, listen, folks, first of all, it's not cool. Don't ever tell your kid to bat flip because it's disrespectful. And sometimes bad things can happen. And guess what? It can even happen from umpires. Yes. How about in Haddonfield, New Jersey? That's right. In Haddonfield, New Jersey, a little leaguer was suspended for doing what? The unthinkable. The little leaguer bat flipped. He threw his bat way up in the air after celebrating a home run. And I have to say, folks, this is really bad when you're seeing the kids do it. This is a 12-year-old kid. What the hell is a 12-year-old kid doing bat flipping? I mean, what is a 30-year-old guy doing bat flipping in the first place is the bigger question. The problem is the kids are impressionable. They see their favorite players that they watch on TV or they go to the games, and then they see them throw their bat as high as they can up in the air after a home run or something to that effect. Have to tell you, it is remarkably disrespectful, and boy, am I glad the umpire actually stepped in. And as CBS News stated, I really support the idea of a suspension. Here we go. CBS Sports, according to CBS News, that is, a 12-year-old little leaguer is distraught at the prospect of missing his team's first tournament game because he was suspended for flipping his bat after hitting a game-winning home run. Of course, a type of celebration Little League Baseball allegedly promotes on its social media accounts. That's right, you heard it. Promotes it? Oh, no. No, that's just bad behavior. Sorry, folks. So, Marco Rocco of Haddonfield, New Jersey, tossed his bat several feet in the air after his sixth-inning two-run homer in the final of the sectional tournament. His father, Joe Rocco, told the Associated Press at first he was called out, but on appeal, the run counted. Marco was ejected and suspended for the game over what the family was told were actions deemed unsportsmanlike and horseplay. That's right, it is certainly unsportsmanlike. Horseplay? Who the hell knows? Anyway, now his family has gone to court to seek an emergency temporary restraining order. That's right. Oh, yeah. A restraining order that will allow him to play in the New Jersey State Championship. How do you like that? And, of course, Joe Rocco, the dad, says, quote, all we're asking for is that the suspension be lifted so he can play the game, close quote. Shut up. Sorry, Joe Rocco. It is incredibly distasteful. It is embarrassing. You should be embarrassed your son has that kind of behavior. And frankly, it starts from somewhere. But the fact is, it seems like Joe Rocco says, okay, son, you could go ahead and you could try to show up the other team. That's what it sure looks like to me. Anyway, the sides are scheduled to make their arguments before a judge in the Gloucester County Chancery Division. And that is supposed to be just before the game, whenever it takes place. But the winner of the state that tournament advances to the regionals, where they have a chance to move on to the Little League World Series, and that is over in Pennsylvania, as everybody knows. So, what makes the ejection and suspension so confounding, according to CBS News, is that the Little League Baseball posts video of bat flip celebrations on social media in the first place. That's right. In fact, Marco had tossed his bat in celebration in prior tournament games without warnings or punishment, according to the court complaint. And of course, Joe Rocco called that hypocritical. As a matter of fact, he said, quote, they promote bat flips. The kids see major leaguers do it. It's part of the game. He was just emulating what he saw. The incident left his son distraught. Yeah. And he goes on to say, by the way, he was so confused, he didn't understand what was going on. On the car ride home, he was saying, how can that be against the rules? If I knew I was breaking the rules, I never would have done it, close quote. While not commenting on the specifics of the case, because of the active litigation. Little League International said in a statement that the application of the rules is up to the umpires. Boy, you want to really talking about making these confusing? I mean, this is getting really messy. And of course, we have yet another quote. Little League International Tournament rules serve as the guide for any determination regarding conduct of which fall distinctly under the discretion of the umpires. As an organization, we must consistently honor the judgment of the umpires to ensure fairness across all games at all levels of play. Close quote. Folks, this is embarrassing. This is bad. This kid shouldn't be bat flipping in the first place. This is a team game. It's not an individual game. It's not look at me, look at me, look at me. I just did something. No, we did something together as a team. And that kid will be singled out. The problem is Little League International says they're leaving it under the discretion of the umpires. So now what happens? Does the Rocco family go after the umpires? Do they go after Little League International because the umpires are technically, they have the agency relationship with Little League International? I don't know. It would seem like that would be the path. But I just think it's wrong and it's bad behavior. It should never happen on the baseball field, whether you're a child or whether you're an adult in the major leagues. And as I had stated, the kids watch the major leaguers, and the major leaguers are doing it, which, again, is very distasteful, and it is disrespectful to the other team. And frankly, it should never happen. Back here with more bat-flipping BS in just a few minutes, folks. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Check out their schedule for upcoming games and events. They've been with us since the very beginning. Great organization, very good school, solid right here in Southern Nevada. And you know what? It's real good value. Check them out again, College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates, including our friends over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Thanks for waking up with us, driving home with us over in Auburn, Alabama, from Montgomery all the way over to Columbus, Georgia. WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves. It's a 7 p.m. show, if I'm not mistaken, folks. I don't remember all the times for these locations, but guess what? I'm going to throw it out there anyway. I think the Atlanta show comes on at 8 a.m. local time, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, also welcome into everybody up and down the heartland out to the West Coast. Those driving between California, sunny Southern California, and Las Vegas, listening in on 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. Thanks for joining us on Highway Country Radio, home of the Las Vegas Raiders and the Vegas Golden Knights. Big hello to our friends up the West Coast, all the way up to Seattle and Anchorage, down to Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees, 49ers, and Alabama Crimson Tide. Of course, everybody listening in and watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW, Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets where applicable. Thank you for joining us, as well as on Hotel TV and on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Make sure you check that out, Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. So in the last segment, it was little leaguers and bat flipping. And where do they learn it from? They learn it from the big leaguers. Everybody they see on television, and they see it at the games. They say, oh, wow, that guy just hit a 450-foot juiced baseball home run. Look at that bat go up in the air. Look at him celebrate. Look at me, look at me. You know what? Maybe I could do that too, and maybe I'll get a big contract just like that as well. And that really sends the wrong message. It truly does. And so you say, well, does it really cause that much trouble in Major League Baseball? Well, here's something that is relatively recent. How about this? And this is courtesy of thesportsrush.com. They say bat flips and bench clearing brawls, moments that ignite feuds. You know what? I actually agree with that statement. And so they have just a few of these. Of course, in modern baseball, bat flips have become synonymous with swagger and confidence. While fans love the excitement, not all pitchers appreciate the display. Over the years, these celebratory flips have often led to heated confrontations, turning routine games into grudge matches. And you know what? It's a lot more than that. And here, arguably the most popular one is Jose Bautista versus the Texas Rangers in the 2015 American League Division Series. And of course, one of the alleged most iconic bat flips in Major League Baseball history, Joey Bat's dramatic toss after his go-ahead homer in Game 5 of the 2015 ALDS against the Rangers. It was an instant classic for a lot of reasons. Of course, his empathetic flip angered the Rangers, which lasted to satisfy. And, well, let's face it, and about a year later, not really a year later, we'll say maybe 9 months later, After a hard slide into second base, Rangers player Rougned Odor famously punched Bautista and just flattened him. A full-scale brawl broke out. But of course, the joke's on the Jays because Texas brought home the World Series just a couple of years later. Now, I do remember another one here with my beloved White Sox and really bad sportsmanship on Tim Anderson's part. You know, Tim's career just completely fell apart. And in fact, I can almost mark this instant as the end of Tim Anderson's career. So it was Tim Anderson versus the Royals, well, maybe a little bit later. And Tim Anderson's celebration after launching a home run against the Royals in 2019, launched another classic feud, and after flipping his bat towards the dugout, he placed a target on his head, of course. Now, during his next at-bat, pitcher Brad Keller drilled Anderson with a fastball, clearing the benches. And, of course, the fight reignited the old debate of the unwritten rules of baseball and the acceptability, I should say, of showboating in the first place. That's right. And, in fact, Tim Anderson, he even got into the ear and the face of Jose Ramirez, if I'm not mistaken, with the Cleveland, I want to call them the Indians, because I think they were still the Indians at that time. Anyway, and it was Anderson that got flattened, hit right on the chin, that's right, and fell to the ground like a bag of rocks. That guy just fell instantly. It was, and that was it. And you ask why you applaud that. Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because first of all, you're not supposed to do that kind of stuff. And secondly, Brad Keller drilling Tim Anderson, in my opinion, was probably the right thing to do. And I've seen this time and time over. I remember watching a game back when Ozzie Guillen was coaching the White Sox. In fact, one of Ozzie Guillen's players got hit. And Ozzie instructed the pitcher, I forget the pitcher's name, he instructed the pitcher, and he even admitted to it, if I'm not mistaken. No guarantees on that one. I mean, I love Ozzie Guillen, but I remember this one very clearly. There was some talk about this, that Ozzie instructed the pitcher to hit the next batter. He did not hit the next batter, and that pitcher was designated for assignment, apparently, and then sent off on a full release. And so listen, if you don't listen to your manager, you don't do what's best for the team. People say, well, how can hitting possibly be best for the team? I'm going to tell you how it can be, because it is a unity thing. In the same way, people say, well, hey, if there's a bench clearing brawl, don't get involved in it. But those are your teammates. Those are your brothers. And for you women out there, those are your sisters out there. If it's a softball game, listen, if the bench is clear, I don't care what the suspension is. You're out there. And if you're not out there, the bigger question is, why aren't you out there supporting your team? Listen, there's fines, there's all kinds of stuff that happens, but your job is to be a teammate and not to be solo. And that means you're not going to be sitting in the dugout when the team is out there in a bench clearing brawl. Maybe it's just a lot of pushing and shoving, but you need to be out there supporting your team. And then what's worse is when a pitcher or somebody is out there and they're getting pummeled by some giant catcher or third baseman or whatever the hell it is, nobody's coming to the rescue. Well, and people turn around and say, well, hey, where's everybody? Well, they're sitting on the bench. Why are they sitting on the bench? They're supposed to come to the aid of their team. And so the next question is, why aren't they doing it? And so the unwritten rules of baseball say, look, if the bench is clear, you're out there. If your team hits somebody, you can expect that on your next at bat, your team is going to hit or get hit as well. If you go in hard to second base, guess what? There are going to be repercussions. As a matter of fact, how about this one? Well, Yasiel Puig, you may remember him from the Dodgers. It was him versus, well, the Giants. And so it was, the story goes, Yasiel Puig was known for his flair and was no stranger to bat flips, another one of those guys. But in 2014, he flipped his bat on a double against the Giants. A double. That's right. I hesitated. A double. Really. Wasn't even a home run. Upon rounding first, pitcher Madison Bumgarner began barking at Puig, which nearly sparked a fight between the two right there and then. And Puig listen, he was one of those guys that would ignite the other team. There were guys like that. They're just spark plugs. They have a very short fuse. And you see, I'm going to get into something in the next segment that's going to explain a little bit about why a guy like Puig, why a guy like Bautista, why they do certain things. And you may not believe it, but listen, a lot of this is a cultural issue. And I'm not saying it is, well, because this person is this race or whatever. No, it's more about where these players have played in the past. And it is a very confusing situation. When you bring bad behavior to Major League Baseball, everybody sees that you're on the biggest stage. And when you bring bad behavior to Little League, everybody at the game sees it. And now these games are televised. And so I saw that one, courtesy of CBS News, about the kid over in New Jersey getting suspended. And so even the Little League games are televised. Imagine that. I mean, who the hell sponsor these things? I don't know, but there's money involved. But my biggest concern is they're teaching the kids, being the older guys, the major leaguers, whatever, they're teaching them bad behavior. They're teaching them the exact opposite of teamwork. They're teaching them to be individuals, which, as I see it, last I checked, it's the old there's no I in team, right? And there's a me in me. That's what I do know. They say, well, there's me in team. Okay, but guess what? The reality is it's a team effort. And so enough of this soapbox. I will tell you that this bat flipping thing is not good. And, I mean, look, even Manny Machado had the same problem against the A's. And, look, Manny Machado is no stranger to controversy. And bench is clear from him. And there's a 5-game suspension that went out to Manny Machado for doing that. So, look, you're not supposed to showboat, period. Back here in a few minutes, and I'm going to give you a little bit of history as to why certain players will do this, being bat flipping, in just a few minutes on The Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP Television. Big welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our radio and watching on television. Everybody also streaming on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer. All of those, plus a whole bunch of others. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for tuning in on Chicago Food Favorites as well. Big hello to our friends over there on Facebook. Thanks for joining us, as well as all of those people that have been first-time listeners and viewers. By the way, folks, if you are one of those, you may not have heard this in the very start, at the top of the show, I should say. There was a announcement by Vacation Buddies, and it was on behalf of them. As a matter of fact, Vacation Buddies wants to give you, the listener, a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri. If you can answer a very simple trivia question, in case you missed it, here it is. Which of these NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Call Vacation Buddies right now. They're not affiliated with this station, but they do want to give you a couple of nights in either Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. Go ahead and give them a call, 888-576-5777. All right, in the last segment, we're talking a little bit about some of the problems that happen as a result of bat flipping. In the first segment, it was about a little leaguer that bat flipped and got suspended, which I absolutely love the fact that the kid got suspended. And look, it's just bad sportsmanship. It is what it is, folks. And so in case you don't know, you could do a quick search and you'll find a nice little overview on bat flips. It says bat flips, the act of a batter tossing their bat into the air after hitting a home run, or of course in the case of some players, of hitting a double. Nonetheless, hitting a home run have a history that is both recent and deeply rooted in baseball tradition. Yeah, where? While often perceived as a modern phenomenon, celebratory bat flips have appeared sporadically throughout baseball's history, gaining more attention and becoming more commonplace in recent years. So, this little tidbit came by way of Google. That's right. And they say, well, the early history and the rise of bat flipping, early instances, although not widely recognized or discussed, celebratory bat flips have existed in baseball for a long time. Some players like Reggie Jackson, Reginald Martinez Jackson, how do you like that one? And others have been noted to have flipped their bats through the cultural reaction to these actions was not as pronounced as it is today. And then they say, well, the emergence of the 1980s. Well, the 1980s saw some notable bat flips, particularly Tom Lawless's during the 1987 World Series. This particular flip gained attention in part because it came from a less prominent player, highlighting a shift in how bat flips were perceived. And then there's the Korean influence. Modern bat flips as widely recognized and celebrated gestures owes a great deal of the Korean baseball organization. That's the old KBO we've heard about before. So the KBO embraced bat flips as a form of player expression, and videos of these bat flips began circulating in the U.S., introducing practice to a wider audience. And of course, as soon as I hear that, I'm going to blame the Koreans for this. But anyway, the reality is apparently they were doing it and they're sending videos out to the world. And of course, it's been popularized in Major League Baseball, increasing exposure to the KBO bat flips, combined with viral social media content and the increasing acceptance of player expression, contributed to the rise of bat flips in Major League Baseball. And of course, there's always an excuse, right? So you think about controversy and cultural shifts and traditionalists, that's me, versus the modern players. The increased visibility of bat flips sparked debate within baseball. Traditionalists often view bat flips as disrespectful to the game and the pitcher, while proponents argue that they are a form of player expression and excitement. Listen, folks, it has nothing to do with player excitement and expression. It is 100% to show up the other team. That's it. It's the look at me moment. And then, of course, there was that Bautista, the Joey Bats moment that I mentioned previously. And there is some silly, ridiculous level of acceptance in this. And over time, there's been that gradual shift in the perception of bat flips, with many fans and players now viewing them as fun and exciting parts of the game. Well, guess what? It's not fun and exciting for the other team. And you're never, ever, ever supposed to show up the other team. So here's a weird thing. Now, for players like Joey Bats and we take Jose Bautista and we'll take Manny Machado. Listen, Bautista's from where? He's from the Dominican Republic, in case you don't know. And this is significant. So this guy hit 344 home runs in big league ball, drove in about 1,000 RBIs, played about 14 years, and he was solid in his career. Many, many years with the Toronto Blue Jays, and he had a handful of years, of course, with the Pirates. That's where he spent most of his time. However, if you look back at Jose Bautista, you say, look, all right, so he came from a middle-class family in the Dominican Republic, placed a great importance on education, and of course he began studying English when he was 8 years of age, and all this other stuff. And he worked out for various teams for Major League Baseball. He turned down offers from $5,000, believe it or not. The Yankees offered him $5,000 and $42,000 from the Diamondbacks. The Reds offered him $300K, but there was a change in ownership, so that offer went away. That's right. And so what Jose did was he created a highlight tape of himself using a camcorder and sent it to various colleges in the United States. There were no responses until he received a call from Oscar Perez, who he had known from the Quipe Cruz League in the Dominican Republic. And Perez informed him of Latin Athletes Education Fund, designed for players from Spanish-speaking countries aspiring to play college baseball in the U.S. So he connected Bautista with Don Oderman, a businessman from the Bay Area, and Oderman was assisted. He assisted players from Latin America and who desired to play baseball in the U.S. that knew, as a matter of fact, it was Chipola College, a junior college in Mariana, Florida, that was seeking everyday players. All right, so there, Jose Bautista played for 2 years until being drafted. So it's kind of an interesting road. But where I'm going with this is an interesting thing. In the Dominican Republic, bat flipping, believe it or not, is widely accepted and celebrated as a natural expression of emotion and passion for the game in the first place. That's right. And this contrasts with traditional American baseball cultures where bat flips have historically been considered disrespectful and against the unwritten rules of the game. As a matter of fact, maybe these are some key reasons why bat flipping is accepted in the DR. So they say, okay, emotional and expressive culture. Baseball in the DR is deeply ingrained in the culture and played with immense passion and enthusiasm. Players often see bat flips as a way to express their excitement and joy after a great play, like a home run. Cultural differences in expression of joy is another issue. While traditional American baseball culture emphasizes humility and downplays individual celebrations, other cultures, including the DR, and Asian baseball leagues embrace more overt expressions of emotion and celebration. Now, there's also the emphasis on the movement and the accomplishment. So players like Bautista, a Dominican native, explains that bat flips are a reaction to thrill of the moment and not to deliberate attempt a disrespectful action to the opposing team or the pitcher. It's about celebrating a successful performance, is what he told the Diamondback. And of course, there's also the influence of Winter League Baseball and Dominican Winter League. Baseball is known for its electric atmosphere and exciting play where bat flips and enthusiastic celebrations are common and embraced by both players and fans, according to the Seattle Times. Now, I could say I saw a bat flip. It was a celebration. Oh, geez, who the heck did it? And it was recently. I think it was over the past winter, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, it was a home run hit in the Dominican League. And not only was the bat thrown 30 feet in the air, seemingly, something to the effect, the player was so excited that he hit the home run that he ended up taking over a full minute, and he was celebrating with his team between, believe it or not, before he even got to first base. The whole team came out and celebrated with him when he was halfway down the line to first base. And then 25 seconds later, he's rounding first on his way to second, and he's doing all kinds of jumping around, whatever. I get all that stuff. It's exciting. And then when he gets to third base, he's celebrating with his third base coach before even getting home. And mind you, the game is still going on. And we're now about a minute 10 into this home run trot after this ridiculous bat flip in the DR for the Leones. But my point in this is after he finally stepped on home plate, the whole team was there as if he just won the World Series. So it is a cultural thing. It's very important, apparently, in the DR. And so we're going to go ahead and give Jose a little bit of, okay, I sort of get it, but I don't get it. You don't do it. Back here in a few on the circus. Lots more to come.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi Code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests and upcoming interesting shows, because we do certain shows that appeal to certain crowds sometimes, and sometimes there's special events here. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners at thesportscircus.com. And of course, one of ours is Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. And folks, if you can't make it over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. They are the creators of that glorious and incredibly tasty Italian beef sandwich. They did it 117 years ago. Al's Number One Italian Beef has been in business since 1938, so they kept that recipe under wraps for a very long time. Folks, got to tell you, it is incredible. Check them out at alsbeef.com and tell them the Sports Circus sent you. All right, welcome back to everybody on radio and TV. You know who you are. Everybody streaming, thanks for joining us there as well. So weird things happen in baseball, and I'm going to get away from the bat flipping here. Now that we're done with that, we've exhausted that. Some pretty interesting history about it. And when we think about why certain players do it, yeah, and I can understand it. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's a good influence on the kids. I really believe that the kids shouldn't be doing that. And frankly, overall, it's just, I don't think it's good for the game. Celebrate on your own time, your own dime, and all that other stuff. And frankly, you should celebrate after the game when the game is over. You don't celebrate during the game because, hey, anything could happen, truly. And when I say anything could happen on a baseball field, I got to tell you, I've seen some weird things before. And I had said one time that I am quite confident, I won't tell you when and where, but I believe that as a baseball fan, I am quite certain that I initiated a bench-clearing brawl between a couple of teams. That's right. Sometimes you just know what to say, and when you have a gigantic voice where you can say something and people will hear you, well, that's how I am. But when I've also seen some other strange things. Now, I was at the drop third strike game between the White Sox and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim of Orange County, the Orange Curtain of the Santa Ana Riverbed of Interstate 5, blah, 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 the longest name in sports. So between the Angels and White Sox, I was there when Paul Bird was pitching, and, well, let's face it, A.J. Przinsky was at the plate. There was the drop third strike. A.J. Przinsky ran to first base, and, of course, the Angels had argued and argued and argued, and guess what? They were winning that series 1-0, and, well, we know what happened there. The White Sox ended up winning, and they ended up winning the World Series. However, that was a very weird thing, and I happened to be there for that game. That was a weird thing. And also, I remember sitting in the seats one time at Old Comiskey Park, where the White Sox used to play. Now they play at Rate Field, whatever it is. So the new park was built across the street from the old park. And I remember it was a cold April day, and it was the White Sox playing the Oakland A's at that time. And I was sitting right next to the foul pole in the first row in right field. And there was a particular batter up. I'll just leave everything alone. And it happened that He hit a low line drive. It was probably about 38 degrees at game time. It was really cold. And so I saw the ball. It was probably hit about 30 feet off the ground, and it was coming right for me. And I'm like, ooh, I got this. I got this. I told the person I was with, I got this. Right at the last second, I purposely ducked. That's right. I ducked. There was a kid sitting behind me eating a pizza. It bounced off of his belly. It landed on the ground. It rolled down to the first level. And that's right, folks. I have the baseball. And I still have the baseball today. That's right. I have that baseball still. And that was a weird thing I seen at a baseball game. Never mind the shower that was in center field that Harry Carey used to enjoy on hot days at Old Comiskey Park for the White Sox, not for the Cubs. And in case you didn't know, he went to the Cubs only because he did not want to be on paid television. When the White Sox won the division, the American League West, I think it was in 1983. They won it by 19 and a half games. Well, the White Sox went from regular TV to from Channel 44, I think it was WPWR in Chicago. They went to a channel called Sports Vision. So it was pay TV, like cable TV. And so Harry wanted to be on free TV. So he said, I like being in Chicago. He moved up from St. Louis. The original was the Cardinals announcer, I think, for the first several years of his career. But he spent a bunch of years on the White Sox side, and he wanted to be on free TV, so he went over to the north side and started announcing for the Cubs because Jack Brickhouse had retired, who was a longtime Hall of Fame announcer. Jack was a great guy, and I got to tell you, I came home and watched Jack Brickhouse and listened to him all the time. And Jack, rest his soul, he was a good guy. Same thing with Harry. Harry was a fun guy. But anyway, we think about some weird things that happen in these stadiums, and I have seen a lot of strange things happen in baseball stadiums on the field as well as off the field. Now, here's one as a spectator. Imagine this. Imagine a walk-off, you heard it, catcher's interference? What? That's about as rare as it gets. And, of course, it happened, with the Philadelphia Phillies, their rookie Otto Kemp. And the oddity for him is that he's actually been there before. Imagine walking off on a catcher's interference, according to CBS News. Walking off on a catcher's interference is one of those feats in Major League Baseball that is literally as scarce as hen's teeth. Now, since 1920, only one team has walked off on a catcher's interference to end a game prior to the Phillies situation with the Red Sox. Now, that occurred way back in 1971 when Willie Crawford reached first on a catcher's interference by Johnny Bench. As a matter of fact, the Dodgers won 5-4 over the Reds as Manny Mota crossed the plate for the winning run. Now, before the Phillies win in the same situation, this 3-2 win over the Red Sox, it just makes me laugh. You think about that, you're like, well, all right, a walk-off catcher's interference in the major leagues was very rare. In fact, was as rare as scoring 30 runs in the game, and that's only happened once as well, in case you're keeping score. So, of course, the idea of walking off and winning a game on a catcher's interference wasn't rare for Otto Kemp, though. So what Edmund Soso went through actually happened to this Phillies rookie when he was at the plate just 10 months ago. That's right. It happened less than a year ago. I mean, this is crazy, folks. So Kemp was at bat for Double-A Reading that night as the Fightin' Phils were mounting a comeback in the bottom of the ninth inning in a 5-5 game. Kemp stood up, took the plate against the Erie Seawolves and pitcher Joel Paguro. And of course, what transpired was one of the strangest moments of Kemp's baseball life. And in fact, he even said, I was going to guess I was in a 2-strike count. I can almost tell you how it went over without even remembering it. It's crazy. All right, close quote. So, reminiscing about the at-bat, Kemp remembered the first pitch was a ball followed by 2 quick strikes. With 1 out in a tie game, all Kemp could think about was how to stay alive. And in fact, he had said, quote, nowadays with 2 strikes, I feel like everyone tries to get you to chase out of the zone. You're really just trying to see the ball as long as you can without putting the ball in play, close quote. So Kemp fouled off the next pitch on a 1-2 count and then took a ball inside. The count went to 2-2, and then the unthinkable happened. The pitch was on the low inside corner of the zone and would have been a strike 3 if Kemp didn't swing. Now, Kemp took a hack, and the ball went foul into the dugout. In fact, Kemp said, quote, "You're just trying to see it deep. So when you do, you're like almost taking it out of the catcher's glove. It's like a late reaction. I think I had one of those, and it ended up hitting his bat. It was like, wait, that might do it," close quote. So Kemp immediately looked at home plate umpire Nelson Fraley. He didn't point like Sosa did in that game with the Red Sox, and then he had a feeling the game was over. In fact, he said, quote, "I think everyone in the Fightin' Phils dugout heard it and they saw it. Because it was a little bit more than like that than the small touch of a glove, I do remember that," close quote. So Kemp slowly walked to first as Fraley ruled the catcher's interference and was awarded Miller home. And he put on a smile and celebrated with his team, and the lights began to flash, etc., so forth. No one on the Fightin' Phils knew exactly how to react. They had no idea what the hell happened. So he had said, quote, "It was like an awkward pause. We were like, wait, did that just happen?" They were like, "Oh, that did just happen. The rest is history," close quote. So when Kemp went to first base, he realized the usual celebration for a winning game, even though winning on a catcher's interference call is as rare as can be. As Kemp remembered the play being presented to him, he didn't realize how that play was scored in the final box score. So Kemp had an RBI in the 8th inning off a sac fly, which he believed was his only RBI of the night. He thought the catcher's interference was an error. And in fact, he had even said, quote, "If I had 2 RBIs, then it must have counted, right?" Close quote. But anyway, the more awkward moment of the game for Kemp, he used to be playing multiple positions on the diamond in the first place, which wasn't the case in that September win. So it's the idea, look, being a DH this night, being a catcher this night, whatever the hell it is. I mean, the crazy part about it is this guy actually had it happen 2 times. And before the Phillies game against the Red Sox, the club placed reliever Joe Ross, of course, on the 15-day DL or injured list, maybe because they thought that he'd be involved in something like that too. No, they didn't. No, I'm just saying that. And listen, folks, the reality is when you see something strange on the ball field that you can't explain, this is why they shouldn't tinker with the game. Rob Manfred should leave the game alone, let extra innings just play out without a guy starting at second base with a ghost runner and all this other crap. Leave multiple moves to first base, second base for the pitcher, third base, whatever. When they tinker with the game, they take away these crazy moments that you thought you'd never see. Now, this one happened to happen because seemingly Otto Kemp was at the plate. But I have to tell you, I've never seen that happen ever at a ball game. But when we see things like that, we say, wow, what are the chances of that even happening again? And then you could say, I was there. And when you say I was there, that's the great part about it. Like when I say that about the drop third strike game, some people brought it up to me. I even talked to Paul Bird. Boy, he got mad at me when I brought that up because he felt that the catcher did not drop the ball. Mike Scioscia argued it. It didn't work. End of day, the White Sox end up winning. But you could actually say you were there. And for that particular instance, I could actually say I was there. Wow, crazy stuff on the diamond. That's going to do it for today's show. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you in about 23 hours on your favorite station right here. Until then, so long, everyone.
I gotta barbecue.
Don't you give me none of your back talk.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting. What does he think I am, an imbecile? Leave him alone. Quiet. You nitwit.
Hey, flowers or mother?
him alone.
Quiet. I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.